Welcome in to Steelers Talk Yinzers. I am your host, Jack Sperry, and today I'm going to be answering your questions on Wednesday's Steelers Talk live show. If you missed the live show, that is all right, but just know you can't get your questions in anymore. But before I start answering some of your questions on the black and gold, go ahead and subscribe to the channel to join the most interactive Steelers community out there on YouTube. We are 100% free. We got daily content for you guys, and we're going to have live watch parties for all 17 games of the Steelers schedule. You're not going to want to miss it. So if you love the Steelers, you want content every day, go ahead and click that subscribe button for me right now. All right, now let's start with Shane Appis here, who says, who do you believe the tight end who will be cut is? My opinion is Gentry is out and Freiermuth, Hayward, and Washington are in. So that is a very good question, Shane. I would say Gentry out of, if they're not going to carry four, because they could carry four, right? They might carry Hayward as more of a fullback, kind of like a hybrid piece. So it's very possible that they end up carrying four tight ends here. But Williams, I think, is definitely going to get cut, even though he's been impressing in OTAs and minicamp. I think he'll probably get cut or put on the practice squad. He'll end up somewhere. He'll end up on someone's practice squad, I think. But I think Connor Hayward isn't really a true tight end. He's kind of a smaller tight end, more of a receiving guy. I think that it's very possible that they carry four tight ends this year. It'll be interesting to see what head coach Mike Tomlin and GM Omar Khan end up coming to here at the end of training camp. But I think all four of them could potentially make it, and Williams is the only guy that is potentially let go. Then we got a question from Matt Hyde here. He says, how many turnovers will the Steelers defense have this year? The turnover ratio. Man, this is... So I think that they're going to approach the 20 that they had last year, the interceptions. Fumbles are a complete crapshoot, plain simply. Like, unless you're like Darius Leonard, where you got like the peanut punch, like fumbles are completely a crapshoot in my opinion. So I think they'll be right up there in terms of turnovers. And Kenny Pickett, I think, is going to do a good job at protecting the football. He did that last year, so I think the ratio is going to be really good. I can't necessarily give you like maybe like 30-10, 30-15, somewhere in that range for the Steelers here in 2023. I think their turnover ratio here is going to be one of the best in the National Football League. Then we got a question from Steeler Sam here. He says, is a trade for Isaiah Simmons still possible even after signing Kwiatkowski? So for me, I would say no to this one, Sam. I would say that Kwiatkowski was that move to bring in for inside linebacker depth. I think they like Cole Holcomb. I think they like Landon Roberts. I think they like Mark Robinson. And will Kwiatkowski make the team? I guess we'll have to see on that. Same thing with Tanner Muse. Some of these guys are more special teams kind of guys. But I think that Kwiatkowski was the move, and Simmons is probably just not going to happen. I don't really see him as a true inside linebacker, not a really good run defender. And he's probably going to be more of like a slot corner or a strong safety moving forward in Arizona. And right now the Steelers are good at both of those positions. So at least at this point in time, I don't see a trade for Isaiah Simmons happening. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments section. Should the Steelers trade for Isaiah Simmons? Type T if you would trade for him, or if you're going to pass on the Cardinal linebacker hybrid player. Type P down there in the comments section. It's going to be the pinned comment on today's show. So whenever you get an ad break here, do me a favor. Go down to the comments section, find that pinned comment, and answer today's question. All right, now we got a question from Mimic Tarzier, I think is how you pronounce that there. Any news on how good XFL stars Hakeem Butler and Luke Barkoo? Also, do you think there's any chance we could re-sign Derek Watt for the bloodline for real cheap if no one picks him up? I mean, I love Derek Watt. I would love to see him get picked up here, but I just don't think the Steelers are really going to be prioritizing two running back sets this year. Matt Canada likes to run a lot of 11 personnel. They didn't really use DW all that much last season. Then as for the XFL stars, Hakeem Butler is really impressing. Like, he is somebody that could absolutely make this team as a backup X receiver behind George Pickens. Because if something happens to GP, you're going to want somebody with the size, with the 50-50 ball ability that Hakeem Butler possesses. And I think that he's a perfect fit for that role. And then Luke Barkoo, I've heard that he's been impressive, but he's still kind of on the outside looking in when it comes to making the final team. The Steelers have quite a few really good corners right now. Of course, you got that foursome of Patrick Peterson, Levi Wallace, Joey Porter Jr., and Corey Trice Jr., which I think are going to be your core starters. And then probably just a couple of other players there are going to end up making the team. Chandon Sullivan, Elijah Riley, another couple guys that are impressing in OTAs and minicamp. So Luke Barku's definitely got an uphill battle to make the Steelers roster, but the things that I'm hearing are good from the XFL star. Now we got a question from Young Noticeable 25 who says, what do you think about DJ to Arizona for I think that's Simmons and their second or third round 2024 pick? And we bring in D-Hop. So D-Hop is a free agent. So he is no longer on the Arizona Cardinals. They cannot trade him. But I think you're talking about bringing him in as a free agent. I don't think that this is going to happen. I know there's a lot of people out there in Steelers Nation that want DJ gone. They don't like the drops. They don't like him running backwards after the catch. I get all those concerns, guys, but the Steelers love themselves some Diontae Johnson. He was such an important part of Kenny Pickett's success in the second half of the season last year, particularly on third down. He's really shifty in the slot when they put him in there, and he's also pretty darn good on the outside. I think he's going to have a really good year this year, and I don't think they want to bring in a guy like DeAndre Hopkins if it means getting rid of a guy like Diontae Johnson. Then we got Hammer and Dan here. He says, who will have the more productive season, Diontae Johnson or George Pickens? So I think both of them are going to have good seasons this year, and I'm really an advocate for Diontae Johnson, who I still think is the number one wide receiver on this team. But the thing with George Pickens is that he has superstar-level qualities that you just don't see every day, and if he really takes that next step in his sophomore season, he is going to be the number one wide receiver on this team because he's got the body control, the hands. He's got stuff that Diontae Johnson just simply doesn't possess. So the ball is in George Pickens' court here. I think Diontae Johnson could be an elite wide receiver too, but it really does come down to whether or not George Pickens takes that next step and becomes a true alpha number one wide receiver here in the league moving forward. So let me know who you think plays better here in 2023. Who will be wide receiver one for the black and gold here in 2023. Give me a DJ for Diontae Johnson, or give me a GP if you think George Pickens is going to rise up the ranks this year. Next question comes from John Mack here, who says, what QB do you hope starts for the 49ers week 1 versus Pittsburgh? I kind of hope it's Trey Lance, to be honest with you. Like, I've seen what Brock Purdy has been able to do, over 30 points a game when he was starting last year. So I'm not super excited about facing a guy like that with an offense like that. And then Sam Darnold actually played pretty darn well for the Panthers down the stretch last season. So I think if he plays, it's definitely not going to be a cupcake victory for the Pittsburgh Steelers. However, with Trey Lance, he's had some serious accuracy issues throughout his career. He hasn't played much in the NFL, but he hasn't played much over the last couple of years, period, right? And even when he was playing back with NDSU, it was a run-heavy offense where he was barely throwing the football. So he doesn't have a whole lot of game reps under his belt. And then his throwing mechanics are super herky-jerky, and it really leads to some inaccuracies. So I think that I would much, much rather see Trey Lance on the field if I were a Steelers fan, but that's just my opinion. Then we got a question from Henry Davids here. He says, will the Steelers carry a fullback this year? That's definitely going to be an interesting question, okay? So it depends on what Matt Canada wants, right? Does he want a guy like Monty Pottybaum, a kind of a power fullback to block in those goal line situations? Do you want a guy like Connor Hayward, who's a little bit, he's not light for a fullback. He's actually got the perfect fullback body, but he's going to be more of a receiving threat for you. That's what I think they should do, is they should keep Hayward here for fullback purposes, but they're not bringing back Derek Watt. They played a lot of 11 personnel last year. They barely had Derek Watt on the field in 2023, so it wouldn't surprise me whatsoever if they don't carry a true fullback on the roster this year. So let me know in the comments section, will the Steelers carry a fullback in 2023? Will Monty Pottybaum make the roster this year? Let me know what you guys think by giving me a yes or no down in the comments section. And we got a $20 super chat here from my man DJV. It says, you're my dad. Sorry I've been gone so long. Work sucks. Still watch every video. Who leads team in interceptions? Brisket is the holiday king always. I love me some Brisket, DJV. That's for damn sure. But when it comes to the player that's going to lead the team in interceptions this year, I am going to put my money on Patrick Peterson, who's moving inside to play more of a nickel star role from the slot. And I think that's the perfect spot for him. I think with the decreasing physical gifts there, because he is getting older, being in a nickel star position where he's allowed to roam in the center of a defense, read the quarterback's eyes, and really play off the incredible instincts that he plays in zone coverage, I think is going to be fantastic for this defense. Minkah Fitzpatrick is always going to be up there towards the top of the list. Wouldn't shock me to see Mink once again lead this team in interceptions. But Patrick Peterson, he had 5 last year, and I think with this defense, he's going to have a ton of opportunities this year. I think he maybe gets up to 7 or 8 here his first season in black and gold. Then we got a question from Zeno here who says, are the Steelers going to make the playoffs, and are the Browns overrated? So with the Browns, it completely depends on Deshaun Watson. If Deshaun Watson plays like he did last year, they're going to be last in the AFC North, plain and simply. But if he plays like he did in 2020 with the Houston Texans, with that roster, they're going to be pretty darn good. So I'm looking at the playoff chances for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I'm looking at a gauntlet of an AFC North. The Bengals are still good. The Ravens upgraded this year. The Browns now, it's really going to depend on Deshaun Watson. However, I think that the Steelers have the roster here, and they have the pieces. They have the head coach. They have all the roster that they need. They have all the talent needed here to win this division, and I think that that's a certain possibility. If they don't win the division, I think they still have a really good shot at being a wild card here in 2023. Thank you guys so much for submitting your questions, supporting the channel. Really do appreciate it. If you made it to the end of the video here and you want more Steelers mailbags in the future, go ahead and click that subscribe button and turn on your notifications as well so you never miss a video. That's going to be it from me today, Steelers Nation. I will see you guys later. And as always, here we go, Steelers.